The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. At that time, Pilate said to Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingship is not of this world. If my kingship were of this world, my servants would fight that I might not be handed over to the Jews. But my kingship is not from the world." Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am king. For this I was born, and for this I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. And everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." The Gospel of the Lord. Lead questions for today. Question number 1. What do we Christians mean when we declare that Jesus Christ is the universal King? What do we Christians mean when we declare that Jesus Christ is the universal King? Question 2. Mention the main pillars upon which the kingship of Christ is established. Name the main pillars upon which the kingship of Christ is established. Question 3. In what way is the feast of Christ the King, and the readings of today, in what way are they a source of encouragement to Christians in difficult situations, Christians in painful situations, Christians going through the hardest of times? In what way is this feast and the readings, in which way are they a source of encouragement and comfort? Question 4. Amid the crisis of leadership in our society, if there is one crisis that has been most troubling in this part of the world, it is the crisis of leadership. We say not so. There is nothing in the geographical configuration of Nigeria. There is nothing in the DNA of Nigeria that makes life so difficult for us. It is failed leadership, many people recognize. Amid the crisis of leadership in our society, how is the image of Christ, the King, a major challenge to us all? How is the image of Christ a challenge to leadership at home, to leadership in the community, to leadership in business, to leadership in schools, to leadership in politics? How is the image of Christ, the King, a challenge to us all?
I would like to attempt question 4.
Yes.
Like you said,
you went into politics briefly sometime.
Yes.
So
I'm still a politician at heart.
Yeah.
Just like you said, there's nothing more challenging in Nigeria today than the leadership challenge. That really is the cause of everything that we have as problems. I think the image of Christ gives us a version of leadership that all of us individually and collectively should aspire to. You think about the model of simplicity, the model of service.
Simplicity.
service, obedience to the will of God. And of course, the
Service, sacrifice
that Christ made as leader and king, that servant leadership. I think it's an important image that all of us as Christians, all of us in the world, because he is universal king, and particularly leaders and rulers in Nigeria across all spheres, political, social, religious, business leaders, family leaders, community leaders.
Actually, some people have said, we say that those we often have around cannot be called leaders, because the things you have mentioned, they pertain more to rulers.
Yes.
That is to say, the problems we have. Now, the image, the elements you have mentioned pertain to leadership, right? But what we see, they pertain to rulership. When you see kill and go people, chase people out of the road, is that how Jesus did his own?
No.
When you see people who are supposed to be leaders living big, living like people who are in, even people who are in Sweden, in Denmark, in those very rich countries, they ride bicycle around. They move along among their people. But then we have rulers here who consider that their people are too much below them, so they ride short over them. They chase them off the road. Can we really say that these are leaders?
No, Father, they certainly are rulers. And what is most painful is how they continue to insulate themselves from the reality of what is. So you've described the fact that things are not going right, things are tough, things are difficult. But when you have conversations with our rulers, they tell you that all is well, that everything is peachy, everything is fine, and that, in fact, sometimes they blame it on us, and they tell us that we are not making enough sacrifices to move the country forward.
Yeah, sacrifice. One of the things, see Jesus on the cross. Jesus did his leadership by going to the cross to die for the people he was leading, or he is leading, right? Now, a situation where governors in Nigeria ride around in private jets because the roads are not safe. And they don't want to be inconvenienced by waiting in the airport for delayed flights. So they take as much as $10,000 and go just from their state capital to Abuja and blow it. And then tomorrow, they'll come back for votes. And the problem of the people is that they go ahead and vote them. And use tribe, and use clan, and use religion, and then they vote them. So this is the problem, that what we see displayed they are not elements that Jesus Christ showed us. And yet, many of these people are Christians who are supposed to ordinarily be following Jesus' example wherever we are. As fathers and mothers at home, as teachers and headmasters in school, as principals, as directors in government, and so on and so forth. We are supposed to be following Jesus, our leader, following his example. So this challenge is for everyone. Because all of us here, some of us will end up being some leader somewhere, isn't it? Actually, already many people I can see are already leaders. But you know what? We say, I read something yesterday. I say, somebody is not a thief because he stole. He stole because he's a thief. You know had that before. Somebody is not a thief because he stole. He stole because he's a thief. Now, there are many thieves who never have the opportunity to steal, but it does not make them less a thief. In the same way, if we are bad leaders, many of us are complaining now because we don't have opportunity to be there. So, bad leadership is there in many people. The spirit of bad leadership is there. It's just that many of us are not the ones there right now. So what we need to deal with is that spirit. Yes, that spirit. To embrace the spirit of Christ in and out of power. Right? To embrace the spirit of Christ in and out of power. Because the people I am looking at now, many have not stolen, but they are. Give him a round of applause. Yes, Rachi. The fact that you have not stolen doesn't mean that if one day when we give you opportunity. You see, they say, you know what? They say men and women can deal with adversity. That men and women are wonderful in dealing with adversity, but give them power. That is when you know how terrible men and women are. In the midst of challenges and adversity, many men and women do heroically. They do well. But give them power. Then you will see the idiot in them will come out. Yes. Give me a round of applause. Is that not true?
Glory to God forevermore. I'd like to attempt question 3. In what way is the feast and the readings of today a source of encouragement to Christians in difficult or painful situations? The readings of today underscore or reiterate the profound truth that Christ is the King over all. He has dominion over all kings, over all princes, over all leaderships, over all situations. Christ is King. And is a source of encouragement when we consider the kind of King Christ is. He is the King that is mindful of his people. He is the King that came down to serve his people. He is the King that is a shepherd. He's a King that is empathic. He's the King that intercedes for his people. So we have encouragement because we know that the one that rules over all is not just our King, but also our priest that understands our situation. And because he has dominion over all, he has dominion over our situation. And it says that his dominion will never end. So we know that his victory will never end, regardless of what we go through. There is victory at the end because of the kind of kingship.
Because of the kind of kingship of Christ, in my pain, in my adversity, in my tribulation, I can find consolation because I know it shall be well. I know with John of the Cross that because the King that I am serving, the one who is Lord over me and the one who is Lord over all of us, I know that for him, in him, with him, love shall be the last word of history. Not hatred, not tribal bigotry, not religious bigotry, not the kind of poverty we are going through, not the kind of wickedness that many of us are subjected to, but that love shall be the last word of history. So, with faith, we can find encouragement. With faith, we can find peace, even as we are going through the hardest of times. Give him a round of applause. Yes. Yes, who is up there? Yes.
I will answer the first one. What do we Christians mean when we declare that Jesus Christ is the universal King?
Yes.
We mean that kingship of Jesus Christ is forever. All other kings, as we know, will definitely reign, come to an end.
Is it just forever? You know, universal also means over all and forever.
Or that is, as the kingship was and is
And will
to
be.
forever and ever. And that is why we say, glory be to the Father, and the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, who shall be now and forever.
Yes, you have answered well. I just want you to know that there are two dimensions. There is the horizontal and there is the vertical. Meaning that forever, that is vertical. Meaning from the beginning to the end. Now, over all, that is horizontal. Over everyone that is living now, he is also king. Yes. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Yes, Tony.
May the name of the Lord be praised both now and forever.
Amen.
All right, permit me to attempt question 2.
Yes.
I think the main pillars of the kingship that Jesus established are recorded in the readings. And I think I want to take first from the gospel. Truth.
Truth. So, one pillar, Jesus's kingship is founded on truth. There is a lot of falsehood in the world. Many people who are occupying positions today are occupying positions fraudulently. But the kingship of Jesus Christ is established on one strong pillar. That pillar is truth. Yes?
Second one is humility.
Humility. I mean, that's why he's on the cross. He had the power. He told Pilate, my kingship is not of this world. It's not from this world. If it were from this world, I know what kings of the world do. I would have marshaled my servants and they will not allow the Jews to do anything to me. But my kingship is not from this world.
Another one is total surrender to the will of God.
Total surrender to the will of God. Lord, if it is possible, let this cup pass over me. But let it not my will, but yours be done.
And then exemplifying the love and personifying the love of God made visible by his action, by his deeds.
The love of God visible in his deeds, in his actions, in his words. You see, thank you for mentioning love. What should propel anyone into leadership positions is supposed to be love. Love of the common good. Love of the common good. And it is that love that energizes somebody to want to make sacrifices. We have so bastardized the concept of leadership in our society that people who have no business in leadership are getting there because it's about self-aggrandizement. It's about escaping poverty. It's about state capture. Capturing the state, taking the key of the treasury and running away. And not doing any sacrifice for the people. Until we recognize that the way we have been running, the way we are going, we will end up where we are heading for. Unless we change our course to say, from nursery school, from primary school, we need to start teaching the concept of leadership as sacrifice. Leadership as service. Leadership as self-abnegation. Leadership as love of the common good. It is leaders who are supposed to be the most patriotic, people who really have love, nationalistic, patriotic, who love their people so much that they are ready to inconvenience themselves to suffer. But what do we have here? Inconvenience themselves for the people? So we have a wrong concept of, you know that I said this story a couple of times in the past, where this woman was struggling, was selling granite on the road, was struggling to sell granite, and then this leader, so-called leader, was passing by, and kill and go people chased her off the road. She fell into the gutter and her granite spread around. And she dusted herself and said, my own pikin too go be governor. She got it wrong. That's not how to be governor. So do not pray that your son or your daughter will be governor in this kind of manner. What the woman should have done, if not that people are so ignorant, is to say, this is not how to be governor. You are supposed to be a servant of the people. But you see, she dusted herself and said, my own pikin too go be governor. You see where we are. Do you see where we are? And that's why society produces more of what it values. And young people actually aspire to what they see society celebrate. As that woman said that, if the son or daughter were nearby, the son or daughter is being told what kind of leader to be. So all of us, we need a lot of work. In fact, you can see that when parents are pushing their children into one thing or the other, they are thinking of their children becoming oppressors. They are not thinking of their children going to serve. And that's where it begins. That all of us have a responsibility towards changing the scenario, what we have today. Society has just replicated, has just produced what we admire. What we admire as a people, you get more of that. What we celebrate as a people, we get more of that. Who and who do we give chieftain's titles? Who and who do we give honorary doctorates? Who and who do we honor in society? Is it that headmaster that has spent many years teaching the children of the village? Or is it some money misroad person who comes into the village splashing money? Who do we honor? You will get more of the people, the kind of things you honor. When society honors rogues, you will get more rogues. So we have a responsibility, and it has to begin from the home. I mean, I keep lamenting this experience that I go to a school, a Christian school, and I ask the SS2 students, what do you want to become? And somebody says, I want to become a celebrity. And I say, celebrity in what? And he says, celebrity in anything. Oh, no. And unfortunately, there are parents, idiot parents, who keep pushing their children to become celebrities in anything. Do you understand? Celebrity in anything. So society is ruined when some of the smartest children in our society are aiming to become celebrity in anything. Jesus has given us an example of what it means to be a leader. He has given, not just to be leader, he has given us an example of what it means to be successful. To be successful. He lived a successful life. He has modeled for us what success is. May the good Lord grant us the grace to follow the example of Jesus. How lovely on the mountain are the feet of those who bring good news. Good news. Our grounds in peace, proclaiming news of happiness. Our God reigns. Our God reigns, 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 our God reigns. He reigns in heaven, our God reigns, he reigns on earth. Our God reigns, our God reigns. Waste places of Jerusalem, sing out for joy. Your God has come. He has come. He'll give you peace. He'll give you happiness. Our God reigns. Our God. Our God reigns. Our God reigns, our God reigns, He reigns in heaven. Our God reigns. Our God reigns. The King who is to come. The real King, the true King, when he does come, he will rule with justice and integrity and truth. He will serve the poor. He will defend the widow. He will provide for the orphan. See Isaiah chapter 61. See as reflected in Luke chapter 4, verse 18 to 19. How did we begin to have these prophecies about the king who is to come? You see, when the children of Israel went from the desert and they arrived the promised land, they were being ruled by prophets. From Moses to Joshua to the judges to Samuel to Saul. But the children of Israel wanted to be like the other nations. Give us a king like that, the other nations. Well, they were warned. If we give you king like the other nations, they will be like Nigerian kind of leaders who. They will buy private jets and you will be walking on foot. They will marry your women. They will do this, they will make you servants and so on. The people say, we want to be like other nations. So they got king. When they got king, you saw the kind of kings they got, including the one they call Rehoboam, the stupidest of the children of Israel, that became their king. You see, when a people don't listen, somehow it becomes possible for the stupidest of them to become their leader. Rehoboam, that's how the Bible describes him, that the stupidest of the sons of Israel became their leader. So when you have a bunch of stupid people, you will end up having the stupidest of them becoming their leader. So we need to check our stupidity. We need to check our idiocy. Otherwise, we will have a king idiot. We have a crown idiot. And we'll be running our affairs and destroy us. When Rehoboam became king, what happened? That is when the children of Israel says, to your tents, O Israel. And the kingdom that was united under David and Solomon was divided. Till today, they were scattered all over the world. But God said, this one you say you want king. God told Samuel, they said they want king. Give them king. But that is not the real king my people should have. Then the prophet started saying, a king will come after the heart of God. That king will rule with truth and justice and integrity and serve the poor and defend the widow and provide for the orphan. This is the mark of This is the mark of a godly king. The true king that the Lord Yahweh shall send will be an example of faith and obedience to God. He will not plan battles. Worldly kings plan battles, conquer territories. He will not attack nations. Worldly kings that we have had, we ourselves now, have a lot of our people who are enslaved, carried to the new world, and then colonized and so on. Somebody leaves the UK, the England, and goes as far as India to colonize the people there. That is what it means when you are a worldly king. Your territory will not be enough for you. He will attack nations. He will not subjugate. He will not attack nations. He will not subjugate his own people. He will not make his own people into servants and slaves. The king after God's heart. Deuteronomy chapter 17. It was at a time of persecution that Prophet Daniel had a vision, what we read in our first reading. He saw someone like the Son of Man with sovereignty, glory, and kingship, and all nations became his servants. His dominion is eternal and shall never be destroyed. Daniel chapter 7. At another time of persecution, John In the New Testament time now, John saw a vision of the King of Kings, the ruler of the kings of the earth, the Alpha and the Omega, coming in glory in the clouds. Revelation chapter 1, verse 5 to 8. The gospel, however, presents a weak and humble Jesus, standing helplessly before Pilate, accused of being an impostor, scourged, insulted, and spat upon. Yesterday I was watching a video of the 10 most powerful pastors in the world, and 8 of them are black people. 8 of them are Nigerians. 10 of the most powerful pastors in the world, 8 of them are Nigerians. And come and see the paraphernalia. Come and see the Lamborghinis and the Rolls Royces and the bouncers. Make them go read today's readings. Tell them to read today's readings. That is not Christian. It's not Christian. And for Christian leaders to now be celebrated as most powerful people in terms of display of wealth and grandeur and palatial, oh no, it's giving a bad name to Jesus. Jesus stood before Pilate helplessly, accused of being an impostor, scourged, insulted, spat upon. But before Pilate, Jesus insisted that he is indeed a king, but not like the rulers of this world. His kingship is not one of force or conquest or coercion or exploitation or wealth or popularity. His dominion is anchored on truth and holiness. His majesty is based on transcendence, not gathering it all in this world. It's about the other. It's about transcendence. His greatness and superiority are not established by subjugating his subjects, but by liberating them. I don't know why it's so difficult for human beings to understand this. Human beings are so easily enamored when they see power, display of power and grandeur, and they link it with God. This person must have had breakfast with God if he is so rich. Read the New Testament and see that, no, it's not exactly like that. But our people are carried away. That how you know somebody is of God is how he or she puts himself or herself down to lift other people up. That's how you know the one that is from God. Jesus is the king of the human race by virtue of being the best and noblest human being that ever lived. Why do we call Jesus the best and noblest human being? Because of the number of private jets he had? Because of the number of people he served. The number of people for whom he sacrificed his life. Because he was able to forgive the people who crucified him. What does not come naturally to human beings, he was able to do it. That's why he's the best and noblest human being that ever lived. Because he's the image of the invisible God. Because he's the firstborn of all creation. The one through whom everything in heaven and on earth was created. Colossians chapter 1, verse 15 and 16. Jesus is the true king who broke through history to redeem it. Broke through history to redeem it. Who gave the world life by his death. That's the irony that people can't easily understand. People find it difficult. The irony. That I keep saying that the most profound truths of our religion are couched in paradoxes. The more you look, that his greatness is demonstrated on the cross of Calvary. That as he hung there the greatest man that ever lived. It's difficult, Abby. The thing hard for us to understand. He is the one who gave his life, who gave the world life. He gave the world life through dying. He made the world rich through being poor. The one who came to inaugurate a new world of justice and peace and fellowship and solidarity. The one who leads humanity towards the kingdom of the Father. The one who enables men and women to reach beyond themselves and surmount human limitations. Yes. Jesus' kingship is not in the realm of political struggle, but in the realm of witnessing to the truth. Jesus' unfailing witness to the truth marks his true kingship, a matter that is foreign to Pilate and many worldly leaders. Pilate asked, truth? Waiting be truth. Of course, Pilate did not know what truth means. But Jesus is the truth. I am the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. As king, Jesus is not out to dominate and control others. No. He's out to love them. Jesus is not out to rule or lord it over others. No. He's out to serve them. Jesus is not out to judge and condemn others. No. But to forgive them and to seek out the lost ones. I mean, everyone who is a Christian and is in a position of authority in this country should please read the readings of today. We have heard leaders sit down on TV and say, is it 29 million or is it 14.5 million? Till today, we don't know what our senators get, do we? We have different figures. Somebody said 29 million. Another person came and said 14 million, and that is chicken change. You say 14 million is chicken change, it's not enough for you, and you can spend 1 year to debate and give the poor person 70,000 naira. You know, I had said before in this homily, I had said before that anybody who comes out to want to contest for political office should be sent to Yaba Psychiatric Hospital for assessment, for psychological assessment. Because I see, for me, it is evidence of mental illness to be debating for 1 year about giving 70,000 naira to the poor and say 14 million naira in this for the month is chicken change. It's not even enough for you. Are you people getting my point? Yes. But something is wrong. Something is seriously wrong. But that's not the kind of example that Jesus gave to us. Jesus exercises his unique kingship by, can you read? Making God known as the God of love. 1 John 4, 8 and 16. 2, about the truth. 3, teaching the message of love by personal example. 4, gift of himself for the salvation of the world. 5, six. Yes. Enduring violence. Embracing the cross rather than respond to his adversaries with violence. He was true to his nature. I mean, it is Martin Luther King Jr. who says that, he was quoting Mahatma Gandhi, an eye for an eye will render the whole world blind. As he stood before Pilate, Jesus demonstrated firmly, I am indeed king, but my kingdom is not of this world, is not from this world. My kingdom is not one of coercion and violence. My kingdom, it is not one of wealth and power and privilege. How come that Christians don't understand this? How come that you can say you are a Christian and you take none of these things to your position as a Christian in office, in political office, in leadership position? How come? I mean, I go to different agencies in this country and I see that you see the number of, Bishop, between the time you left and now, the number of 8-cylinder jeeps, those heavy gas guzzling 8-cylinder jeeps that all kinds of leaders are using in this country at a time when we have such problem with fuel, at a time when there is no public transportation. But 8-cylinder vehicles that all leaders are using. Innocent is producing, but they won't even buy it from Innocent. They will import them. It is very, very serious. That is the kind of leadership we have. I see it as state conquest rather than actual leadership, because that's not the example Jesus gave us. My kingdom is one of truth, love, justice, forgiveness, compassion, solidarity, fellowship, humility, purity, service, and self-sacrifice. Those who accept these values will belong to my kingdom. That's what Jesus said. You reject these values, call yourself a Christian as you may, as much as you may. Are you really? The Christian is the one that accepts the kingship of Christ. Is that a difficult definition? The Christian is the one who accepts the rule, the kingship, the kingdom of Christ. And every day we pray, your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Jesus is telling you what his kingdom is like. Those who accept these values will belong to my kingdom. I will be king in their lives, in the lives of those who are ready to walk with me along this road of everlasting life. This road of truth, integrity, love, justice, forgiveness, compassion, solidarity, fellowship, humility, purity, service, and self-sacrifice. All of you who are leaders in the home, can you hear? Because we can be talking about politicians. What about husband? What about wife? What about nursery school teacher? What about secondary school teacher? What about headmistress? What about headmaster? What about corporate leader? Can you see? The Gospel of John presents Jesus' kingship in the context of the mystery of the cross. This runs counter to our human inclinations. One of the things we must remember constantly is that the ideals of Christ, the ethos of Christ, they are not in accord with our natural inclination. That's why I keep pleading with fellow preachers. I say, look, human beings want to be earthy. They want to be riveted to the earth. So that's why we love all the power. We love all the pleasure. We love all the popularity. We love all the... But it is the role of a Christian preacher to say, these are fleshy things. Moderate human beings' fleshy inclinations. That's the work of a Christian leader. To moderate the fleshy inclinations of the human being. But what I see happening is leaders stoking these inclinations, using themselves as example, and stoking these fleshy inclinations, these materialistic inclinations. And it is very terrible. Going exactly contrary to what Jesus Christ teaches. You know, I keep saying that, look, what in Nigeria, what we call prosperity gospel, it may be a gospel, but it's not of Christ. Did you hear me? It may be a gospel, but it's not of Christ. Because it goes contrary to all these elements that I am mentioning. How can it be of Christ? How can Jesus Christ say east, and then you say west, and you say you belong to the same Jesus Christ? No, it can't. It's not yes and no at the same time. Like the disciples, we naturally resist suffering and pain. A change in mentality can only come with true conversion via the grace of God. Yes, we can change, but we need the grace of God. The farther we progress in our knowledge of God, the more we subject ourselves to God's influence, and the more willing we shall be to accept the cross. There is widespread rejection of the cross of Christ, even by those who say they are Christians. And I hold that if you reject the cross of Christ, you reject the way of the cross, well, you may be worshiping something, but that's not the Christian way. You may be worshiping God, but that belongs more to the God of the Old Testament than the God of Jesus Christ. As we advance in our Christian journey, we get to realize that following Christ in a world so deeply marked by sin inevitably entails walking the way of the cross. Please pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. Jesus Christ did not prescribe suffering for us. I, whom am a priest, I am not prescribing suffering. I'm not saying we should embrace suffering. But that the reality is that if you are living in a world of sin, and you are in a country as rotten as we are today, and you think it can be sugar in the morning and sugar in the evening and sugar in the afternoon, you are joking. The more rotten the environment, the harder it will be for a Christian to live the Christian life. The more the Christian life will suffer, the Christian will suffer. Is this so difficult to understand? They are not answering me because they don't like it. Now, that if you are in a rotten environment and you want to live a saintly life, is that not what the scripture says when it says you want to live a righteous life? Prepare for an ordeal. It's not new. It's not a new message. See the people, whoever is here among us who has been struggling in the office, in government office, in corporations, to live a saintly life, to live whatever. See how people try to pull you down. See how people try to corrupt you. So it's very hard, and many contracts you will miss because you refuse to play ball. True or false? You will suffer. And in fact, when Jesus Christ says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be comforted. The point is that if you are in this kind of place, you may even have high blood pressure. Because you will be in pain constantly about what is happening. So you will suffer. To imagine that you can live the Christian life in a rotten environment like this and everything will be going up good for you. Either that you are so ignorant about the rot in the environment and you are living in a fool's paradise. They say ignorance is bliss. Either that you are so ignorant you are living in a fool's paradise, or you don't care. Because if you care about the situation, you cannot be celebrating every day. It's like anybody who really cares among us under the poverty situation of today. Anybody who really cares among us to be throwing party every time. Say, after all, God has blessed me. Which God? So God blessed you to consume it and leave his other children dying of poverty. There's this dimension in our society where people believe that, yeah, it is part of God's blessing for me to show my wealth. It shows how close I am to God. Actually shows how far away you are from God. Just shows how far away you are from God. If you can be throwing around wealth when the other children of God are dying of poverty. It just shows how far away you are from God. I mean, I use the issue of mothers. Which mother here will have 10 children and 9 of them are doing well and 1 is not doing well and she doesn't care? She won't challenge the other children to help this one that is not doing well. Is there such a mother here? Our reaction to the kingship of Christ should be one of what? Gratitude, thanksgiving, adoration, worship, obedience, meaning submission to his will. That's what our attitude should be. So if we accept Jesus Christ as our King, then we need to live a life of gratitude and thanksgiving. And for us Catholics, the Eucharist that we celebrate is the supreme thanksgiving. Only a lifestyle of gratitude, thanksgiving, and praise is consistent with the kingship of Christ. Do you understand that? Consistent, continuous thanksgiving. Only a life of continuous thanksgiving is consistent with the kingship. If you really accept Jesus as your king, you will be forever giving thanks. Those who truly recognize the greatness and majesty of God and who embrace the kingship of Christ will consider it a privilege to constantly adore and worship him. You consider it a privilege. You know, when a few Sundays ago we were talking again about this fundraising, right? We're talking about fundraising. And I said, look, if you really know Jesus, if you have been converted and you are transformed in Christ, you will consider it a privilege to be part of any fundraising for God, for God's work. You will consider it a privilege to be involved, to be asked to partake in it. But if you are waiting for all your traditional titles to be called before you do your 1,500 and bring money, then it means you just don't know what you are doing. It means you don't know what you are doing. Unfortunately, is that not where we still are in many parts of this country? That people want their ego, their self-indulgence to be boosted. You know, they want all their pet names to be called, their titles to be called. And then they want to come to the public to announce it so that they will get all the applause. Don't you people read the Bible? Jesus says you have already received your reward. Why do we read the Bible selectively? Why do we read the Bible selectively? So, it is a privilege for us to be able to stand before God and worship Him. It's a real privilege. It is also a privilege to contribute to God's work. It's a privilege. Which is why here, I say, what do I say? I say, if I tell you that we need this and you happen to have money and you used to support, thank God for you. Because you are part of the project, God will bless you. If you don't, other people will. And you will miss out. But I am not going to beg. Because to do God's work, I wouldn't beg. I will tell you, and if you have, you support me. If you don't have, God bless you. But if you have and you don't support, God will raise people. And has it not been working? Of course it will work. Dying to ourselves and our worldly cravings, total submission to God's will, living out the ethics of the kingdom, these are the natural consequences of accepting Jesus as king. Jesus' kingship challenges our notion and practice of leadership at all levels. The true leader assumes authority through sacrifice and pain, and not by way of violent usurpation and election rigging. Are you people hearing? The true leader symbolizes true love and compassion for his people and does not deceive or manipulate them for selfish gain or to fulfill his political ambition. The true leader is the father of orphans, the defender of the widow, the friend of the poor and the sick. He does not oppress, intimidate, or terrorize the weak and the lowly. The true leader is purposeful, selfless, fearless of the Lord, and committed to truth, justice, and accountability. The true leader does not lie to his people. The true leader does not steal from his people. Yes, as we celebrate the Feast of Christ the King today, we must reflect seriously on the following. 1, what kind of leaders have we had at all levels in all sectors of our country? 2, to what extent have we experienced servant leaders after the mind of Christ in the family, in politics, in governance, in the offices? What is the general motivation for leadership positions in our society today? What kind of leader am I, myself, yourself? Who am I leading today, if I'm leading anyone? And who am I aspiring to lead in the future? How am I challenged by the leadership of Jesus Christ, the King of Kings, and what is going to change in my leadership style after today's celebration? What is going to change? We shouldn't come and celebrate the Feast of Christ King and just go on. What is going to change in my life?